lot of requests asking us to really unpack the big political shifts happening over in Japan.
Yeah, focusing specifically on Sanae Takaichi, who just won the LDP presidency.
Exactly. And this is just the kind of thing we like to get into.
Definitely. We've gone through quite a stack of material here, political profiles, takes from economic strategists, FX folks, chief strategist.
Yeah.
Basically everyone reacting to her win on October 4th.
And what's striking is the sources aren't just framing this as, a standard political change. Yes, her potentially becoming Japan's first female PM is huge, symbolically.
Right.
But the analysis points towards something much bigger, what they're calling a radical shift.
A radical shift away from that recent stability we've seen in Japan towards something, well, much more hardline, conservative, definitely.
And actively nationalistic.
And the speed aspect seems key too, doesn't it? Every source seems braced for things to happen fast.
Oh, absolutely. Rapid execution seems to be the expectation, especially in, two main areas, national security and her economic approach. Okay, so that's our mission today, to really distill what this projected Takaichi premiership actually means for policy inside Japan, for the economy, and for its relationships around the world.
Sounds good. Where should we start? The person herself.
Yeah, let's start with the persona. You can't really understand the policies without understanding her background, right?
Sure. So, Takaichi, born 1961 in Nara. Her background is actually in business and management from Kobe University. And she's a real political veteran. 8 terms in the Diet.
Wow, 8 terms. And she's held some pretty significant cabinet roles, too.
Oh, yeah. Big ones. Minister for Internal Affairs, Minister for Economic Security more recently. She definitely knows her way around government.
Yeah, and experience is important, but it's her political identity that seems to be the real signal of this shift. The sources place her firmly on the right wing of the LDP.
Extremely so. She's widely seen as the right-wing banner carrier. It's not subtle. She's openly pushing the core ideas of former PMA.
So strong security, changing the Constitution, aggressive fiscal policy, that whole package.
Exactly. She's about ideological consistency, not really compromise, it seems.
And there's that nickname the profiles keep bringing up, the Iron Lady, obviously a nod to Thatcher.
Right. And she seems to embrace it.
Does that help her, you think? Or does that kind of uncompromising image create risks, maybe alienating moderates or even internationally?
Well, it's definitely a choice, a calculated one, I'd say. It's part of her brand, signaling she's serious about getting things done her way.
Execution over consensus, basically.
Pretty much. It sets expectations for very strong leadership, maybe rigid leadership. It reassures her base she won't back down easily. And that feeds right into her economic plans.
Okay, let's get into that then. Takaichi Economics. The core seems to be really aggressive fiscal expansion.
That's the headline, yeah. And the stated goal, the big one she keeps hitting, is achieving a complete escape from deflation.
But it's tied to something deeper than just economic targets, isn't it? There's a strong nationalistic undercurrent.
Hugely. She explicitly links economic policy to national defense. It's about defending the life and property of the nation, as well as its sovereignty and honor. National strength and economic growth are, for her, the same thing.
Which explains some of that grand rhetoric, like that slogan about pushing Japan to the top of the world.
Nihon o sekai no teppen ni oshiajitai.
Yeah, it's ambitious. Sounds less like policy, more like a national rallying cry.
And this drive has real consequences for fiscal planning, according to the sources.
Oh, major consequences. The consensus prediction is that the traditional goal, achieving a primary balance surplus, is likely going straight out the window.
Okay, hold on. Shelving the primary balance target, Japan's already got a mountain of debt compared to its GDP. What does abandoning that target actually mean for things like its credit rating long term?
Well, that's the rub, isn't it? That's the core contradiction in Takaichi Economics. Short term, yeah, the markets might like the idea of massive spending. But ditching fiscal discipline like that?
It creates huge long-term risks. Exactly. The potential for long-term government bond yields to shoot up because the debt just looks unsustainable. Investors will want more return for holding that risk. So you've got this tension, short-term boost versus long-term credit risk.
So if they are spending big, where's the money going? Is it just general stimulus or is it targeted?
No, it seems very targeted. Focused investment. Strengthening economic security, making supply chains more resilient.
So things like semiconductors.
Semiconductors, absolutely. AI development, space tech, quantum computing, all linked back to that national strength agenda.
And where does the Bank of Japan fit into this, the BOJ?
Well, with her laser focus on ending deflation, The expectation is she'll put considerable pressure on the BOJ
to keep monetary policy loose.
to maintain that extraordinary monetary easing, keep interest rates super low, which, crucially for the listener, widens the gap between Japanese rates and, say, U.S. rates.
And that keeps the yen weak.
That's the key driver for continued yen depreciation, yeah. Good for exports, helps inflation goals maybe, but tough for consumers buying imports.
Okay, that takes us neatly into security policy. The sources suggest the shift here is just as radical. It all comes back to defending national sovereignty and honor.
Right, and analysts are calling this a shift towards extreme realism.
Meaning what in practice?
Two big concrete priorities look set for rapid movement. First, hitting that defense spending target of 2% of GDP. That's a huge jump.
Massive. And second,
Developing what they call counterattack capabilities. Basically, getting the tech and doctrine to strike enemy bases if Japan thinks an attack is imminent.
that's a fundamental change from Japan's post-war defensive stance.
Absolutely. And it connects directly to her push for constitutional reform.
Which parts of the Constitution is she focused on?
Primarily, clarifying the status of the self-defense forces, the SDF, to remove any ambiguity about their legality. And also, crucially, adding an emergency clause to the Constitution.
Both designed to speed up that whole debate, which has always been incredibly sensitive and slow.
Exactly. It signals security is the absolute top priority now.
This also touches on something Japan has avoided for decades, the whole nuclear question, the non-nuclear principles.
Right. Officially, Takaichi says she sticks to the previous government lines on that. But
There's a but.
there's a significant caveat. She suggested that in an emergency, protecting the safety of the people's lives might mean opening up discussions that were totally off limits before, like nuclear sharing.
So not Japan getting its own nukes, but potentially discussing hosting or managing U.S. ones.
Even discussing it is a massive step. It changes the strategic conversation completely. Just opening that door adds a whole new layer of gravity.
And the geopolitical fallout from all this more assertive security stance.
It probably creates a split reaction internationally. On one side, you'll likely see rising tensions, especially with China and South Korea, given the history.
Understandably.
But on the other side, the relationship with the U.S. is expected to get much deeper. Shared concerns about the region, about China, Japan becomes a more proactive, maybe even indispensable partner for Washington.
Let's pivot slightly from policy to her style. That Iron Lady thing, it's not just about strategy, it's about how she operates politically, right? Uncompromising.
Seems so. Her style involves confronting opposition head-on, whether it's inside the LDP or outside. That hardline reputation means she's probably less inclined towards the usual consensus building of LDP politics.
Which could mean faster policy implementation.
Potentially, yes. But it could also alienate people she might need down the line. Moderates, potential coalition partners.
There was that broadcast law incident back in 2015. That seems like a good example of her style.
Perfect example. Really shows her combativeness. She was under fire over how political fairness in broadcasting was being interpreted. Then some internal documents leaked.
Which critics used against her.
Right. And instead of just denying it, she went on the offensive. Called the leaked documents Nezuda, basically. Outright fakes, fabrication.
Wow. That's aggressive.
It signals zero tolerance for opposition, especially from the media. It shows she'll fight hard for her agenda, whatever the blowback.
Suggests we can expect ongoing friction between her government and the press.
Almost certainly. She seems unafraid to challenge norms or institutions if they get in the way of her agenda. It's that ideological consistency again.
Even if it sometimes comes across as, well, overly grand, like that top-of-the-world slogan.
Yeah, there's definitely a unique, maybe slightly comical aspect to the sheer scale of the rhetoric sometimes.
Okay, so we have this picture of a leader driven by conviction with a huge, potentially disruptive agenda. Let's boil it down for investors and businesses. The market's facing sort of dual pressures here.
That's a good way to put it. Two conflicting forces. Short-term opportunity looks big. All that spending, the easy money policy, it points to growth, a weaker yen, rising stocks.
Especially in certain sectors.
Definitely. Defense contractors, security tech, companies geared towards export, they look like immediate winners.
Okay, that's the upside. What's the long-term risk again?
It's that structural problem. Fiscal indiscipline. Piling up massive debt without a credible plan to pay it back risks seriously damaging Japan's creditworthiness down the road. Rising bond yields are the big cloud over the short-term party.
So for investors and businesses trying to navigate this, what's the playbook according to the sources?
It's pretty clear. Investors need to focus strategically. Align with those key sectors, defense, high-tech supply chain resilience, and plan for continued yen weakness against the dollar. Hedging is key.
And for businesses?
Urgent task. Reassess supply chains. Now, the focus on economic security and the potential for increased friction with China and Korea means you need to know your vulnerabilities. It's not just about costs anymore. It's about national strategy.
We've really covered a lot here. The Iron Lady leadership style, the big shift in Takaichi Economics, prioritizing national goals over fiscal norms, and this major security pivot towards extreme realism. It really does feel like a potential earthquake for Japan.
It really does. It's clearly a move towards ideological consistency, maybe faster policy execution. But, and this is maybe the big question for you, the listener, to think about.
Go on.
Takaichi's success seems to hinge entirely on whether her sheer force of will, that hard will style, can somehow manage these huge contradictions. Can she pursue massive spending and ramp up geopolitical security at the same time without either crashing the national credit or seriously destabilizing the region?
It's a huge balancing act.
Exactly. So the question to ponder is,
Right.
what do you think is the single biggest risk she faces trying to make those two very different, potentially conflicting goals actually work together?